Hello everyone and welcome back to Oba's Trending Gist. Today we are diving deep into a fiery discussion with none other than Reno Omokri, who recently sat down on Channels Television's Inside Sources and dropped some serious allegations. He's not just talking about politics, he's talking personal, making claims that Natasha's lies could have ruined his life, and even questioning the integrity of another prominent figure, Oby Ezekwesili. This isn't just about political skirmishes. It's about character, public trust, and the very fabric of accountability. You definitely don't want to miss what he had to say. Let's watch the clip and then we'll break down Omokri's assertion and offer a critical perspective. So sit back and take a watch.
If Natasha is not the person that is receiving this treatment, will your attitude, will you support the suspension of an elected representative by the Senate?
Yeah, I mean, suspension happens in the United Kingdom in Parliament. I worked at the British Parliament as a temp while I was doing my master's in England. So suspension happens there. Suspension happens at Congress in the United States. I've been to Congress several times. So you can suspend. Let me land.
Right.
So you can suspend. The issue there is this: is that Natasha Akpoti has a pattern of dishonesty. She's falsely accused me of similar things to what she's accused the Senate president, and she lied against me. Now, if I didn't have a first-class British Airways ticket, of which I had to go and ask British Airways to send to me, proving that I was not in the country on May 6, 2014, when the President Jonathan hosted President Uhuru Kenyatta to a state banquet and also showed my passport with a stamp from US Immigration, she would have finished me. My life would have been over. She lied against me, saying that I made sexual advances to her at that event, and I wasn't even in the country. Eventually, I was paid a huge sum as out-of-court settlement. So that is a pattern of dishonesty. Another pattern of dishonesty that we see is when she went for the International Parliamentary Union. She sat on a seat with the label Nigeria and spoke as if she was representing Nigeria. Actually, that seat did not belong to her. That seat belonged to Honorable Kafilat, who had been called to the high table. And then when she saw that that seat was empty, she stealthily went there and sat down. And that was opportunistic. It shows that is how it happened. So if I'm lying, I mean, Natasha is very, very quick at going to court, then she should take me to court. So that shows dishonesty. Now, I don't know what happened between her and the Senate president because I wasn't there. But one thing I know is that Natasha is a liar, a very dishonest human being. Now, in the case of her suspension, look, you've seen situations whereby governors were impeached, or governors, maybe they said they won an election and then maybe another person was declared and then they went to court. When they went to court, sometimes they won their case. And when they won their case, after the time, like the 4 years, those governors argued before court and said, no, I'm not going to go because, I mean, this period I was in court. And then the court ruled in their favor. An example is Peter Obi. And that's why in Anambra, they don't have elections with other people. That's why in a state like...
Off-season.
Exactly. That's why in some other states, they have off-season elections, like Osho. So the same thing is this. This woman went to court. The case is pending in court. It's sub judice. Now, she cannot say she wants to now come back to the National Assembly when she was the one that took people to court. And she is a very, very, litigious individual. She's in court with the Senate president. She's in court with Boyi. She's in court with one or two other principal officers. And then she's made allegations against other people. She's accused the Senate president and the former governor, Yahaya Bello of Kogi, of attempting to kill her. She's presented no evidence. These are sexual harassment allegations against the Senate president. She's presented no evidence. She just relies on social media, on people like, what's her name, Oby Ezekwesili. And Oby Ezekwesili herself has serious integrity issues. Very serious integrity issues. So these are people who are trying to project themselves. So look, if you look at the facts of the matter unemotionally, if this was not a mixed-race, light-skinned woman who is pretty and knows how to manipulate people, if this was a man like me, with white beards, and then, people like Obi and those, opportunistic people around that would not take this case the way it is. So we need to focus on what cannot lie. Let us focus on the facts. This woman is a terribly dishonest individual who has taken several cases to court, and the public, as well as the National Assembly, should allow those court cases play out. And when they play out, whatever the court says should happen, should happen. She should sit at home until the court says that the case has been adjudicated.
Wow, Reno Omokri certainly didn't hold back there. We just heard him lay out a series of accusations against Natasha, emphasizing what he called a pattern of dishonesty. He vividly recounted a personal experience where, according to him, Natasha falsely accused him sexual advancements, claiming it nearly ruined his life and that he had to produce flight ticket and passport stamps to prove he wasn't even in the country at the time. This eventually led to an out-of-court settlement. He didn't stop there. Omokri also pointed to another incident at the International Parliamentary Union where he alleged Natasha opportunistically sat in a seat that wasn't hers and spoke as if representing Nigeria when the seat actually belongs to another honorable member. He framed this incident as clear indication of her dishonest character, even going as far as to label her a liar and a very dishonest human being. And then he expanded his critique, stating that Natasha is a very litigious individual, currently involved in multiple court cases with several principal officers, including the Senate President and former Governor Yahaya Bello. He claims she made serious allegations like attempted murder without presenting evidence, merely relying on social media. What really caught my attention was his direct assertion that Oby Ezekwesili, a well-respected figure, also has serious integrity issues because she supports Natasha. He implies if Natasha wasn't a mixed race, light-skinned woman who knows how to manipulate people, her case wouldn't receive the attention it does. He ultimately urges for the court cases to play out, advocating for a focus on facts over emotion or perceived appearances. Now, let's get into my critical take on this. What we've just witnessed is a powerful, unvarnished attack on character, while Reno Omokri meticulously detailed his personal grievances and cited other alleged instances of dishonesty. The heavy reliance on past accusations and broad generalization about someone's character, even extending to those who support them, raises some important questions. When public figures engage in such intense character assassination, it can often muddy the waters, distracting from the legal technicalities and concrete evidence that should ideally be the focus, especially when cases are sub judice. Omokri's comment about Natasha's appearance and its potential role in public perception, while intended to highlight a perceived bias, itself risks veering into problematic territory. It introduces an element that distracts from the core allegation of dishonesty. We need to be careful not to allow physical attributes to become part of the argument, whether to bolster or diminish credibility. His strong claim about Oby Ezekwesili having serious integrity issue is also a significant broadside. Without specific, detailed evidence present within this segment, it comes across as an attempt to discredit her by association, which can be a dangerous game in public discourse. While he calls for focusing on facts and allowing the court to decide, his own presentation is heavily weighted with character judgment that, while potentially rooted in his experience, are not always backed by the kind of concrete evidence he demanded from Natasha. Ultimately, this clip underscores the complex and often messy nature of political discourse in Nigeria, where personal character and public perception can sometimes overshadow the legal process. It serves as a reminder to us, the audience, to critically evaluate all claims regardless of who is making them, and to always seek verifiable evidence. Alright, this fam, that's a lot to chew on. What are your thoughts on Reno Omokri's statement? Do you agree with his assessment of Natasha's character or his critique of others? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this analysis insightful, please hit that like button, share this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Oba's Trending Gist for more unfiltered takes on the hottest topics. Don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos.
Natasha is
Until next time, stay woke, stay informed, and keep the gist trending. Peace out.